Hello and welcome to Social Media Marketing. Today we're going to be starting our first chapter and we'll be looking at the role of social media marketing. By the time we finish this chapter, here are some things that you should understand and know what they are so that you'll do well applying this material and also on the quizzes. So you should have an understanding of what social media marketing is, some different myths about social media marketing, how it all began and where we're at today. Why is this different than other types of marketing? What kind of careers you might have in social media marketing? And what does it mean to be a successful social media marketer? What are some characteristics of that? And then we'll look at some current best practices. And keep in mind that while the book is fairly new, this area is constantly changing, and so anything that you might read here, you need to go out on the internet or find other resources and make sure that that is still valid, especially if you try and apply this after you get out of this class. So let's answer that first statement there. What exactly is social media marketing? So it is a way of getting website traffic or number of hits or number of people. It just depends on how you're going to measure that website traffic to come to your site. And so that can be a social media site. So that might be a blog, might be something like Facebook, might be something like Twitter, Instagram. There are probably hundreds of different types of social media that you could use to attract people. And what we're trying to do is use this as a marketing tool in order to get more traffic to our site. So that's what we're talking about in terms of social media marketing. So what I've got listed on the screen here is the social media directory for WKU. And you can go here and just type wku.edu/social. And what I wanted to show you is you may not think that Western does much in the way of social media, but they probably do more than you think. And so here are the different types of media that Western is using to stay connected with the students. So someone's always monitoring these different applications, and they're doing things to try and get more people to come and visit these different sites. So I can scroll down through there, and you can see that also listed here are the different programs that are at WKU and what kind of social media they use. And so if you belong or want to take a different course in a different area, you might want to look and see what different types of social media different colleges are using, different departments are using, and so on. So I just wanted you to see that and know that social media is used everywhere for any kind of business, even like Western, which is a nonprofit business. So when we look at social media, it might be a way of thinking about word of mouth. So what we're trying to do is create a buzz, something that other people will click on, share with other people, and get other people to drive them to our site. Could be a website traffic or some kind of social media site again. I just can't emphasize that enough. You got to think about what is it that you want to do with this social media, and where do you want your visitors to go, and what is it going to mean to be a success? And that's something we'll be talking about throughout the entire semester. So when we apply this to a business, then we're looking at how do we get our brand out there so we can promote a message about our brand. So again, it's all around these online conversations, a word of mouth, if you will. And we can look at different types of media, and those are media that is owned, we're paid for, earned media that's used in marketing. So paid media would be that media that's more traditional, like a newspaper or a broadcast media, TV, and something like that. And as your book says, we're not going to concentrate a whole lot on paid advertising on social platforms, but we'll discuss it later on in some other chapters. Owned media would be something like Facebook or LinkedIn, and this is where you would actually own your own media outlets. So if you own, say, a Facebook page for your business, then that would be owned. If you're doing LinkedIn for yourself, you're marketing yourself and branding yourself. And so that's getting out there into the different websites in order to bring back people to your own site. And so the most valuable type of media ecosystem is this earned media. And this is when other people start talking about your content or your brand. It's nothing that you're putting out there. It's when other people start talking about it, and it generates that buzz that we're talking about up here, and they're wanting to share that, and it goes viral. That's the hope that you're trying to get. So here you can see how the different types of media are laid out. So you have that paid media like I was talking about. Typically your focus is general consumer, you're putting things out, you're not really targeting very much. Then you go to the owned media, and so that's going to places that you're putting up and you're trying to brand yourself. That could be a blog or Facebook or something else. And then when you can get your own fans to start talking about it, that's what we mean by the earned media. So this is the most valuable type, and this is what you're really after, to get that word of mouth and get that viral effect if you can. So on this slide we have these 7 myths of social media. Hopefully by now everyone realizes that social media is not a fad. It's going to be around, and there's different things that are popping up almost every day that people can use to post their message on and try and get it out to other people. Another myth is that social media is just for young people, and we'll see a chart here shortly that shows that's not the case. And what you have to realize is that social media has probably been around longer than you think, that those people that started off using social media have now moved into older groups, and so that will continue to grow, and so the oldest groups you'll see will become larger and larger as the people who started using social media at a younger age move into those other groups. Myth number 3 is there's no return on social media, and that's not the case either. And so people, when you're monitoring things, you can actually figure out what your return on investing in doing social media is. Now the measurement that we look at, it's a financial term, it's called return on investment, or ROI. So that's something you may hear when you're talking to people about that. Another myth is social media marketing isn't right for this business. And I would be hard pressed to say that you could find any kind of business that couldn't take advantage of social media marketing. You can use it to increase leads, that is, people who are potential customers that you need to reach out to. They wouldn't be coming to your site if they weren't interested. So if you could capture their contact information somehow, then they would generate a good lead for you. Maybe you're just giving away information, or you're trying to help out, you're a nonprofit in the community. Again, social media helps get that word out. Just about everybody in the United States has a smartphone now. I think the last numbers that I saw were up to about 94, 96%. And so that's where the social media is taking place. And so you've got to have different types of apps, those social media apps that can reach your customers. So any kind of business would make use of that. Number 5, SM is new. It's been around for a long time. Another myth is that social media is too time consuming. And it doesn't have to be if you're using the right tools. There are tools like Hootsuite, TweetDeck, CodeTweet that'll help you manage your sites, that you can schedule your postings at certain times of the day when it's more appropriate. You could schedule the number of postings that you're going to have. And so it doesn't have to be as time consuming as if you're doing everything individually and using multiple social media sites, social media applications. And we'll look at those different tools later on in the book or the chapters. The last myth that your book talks about is this social media is free, and that's not the case at all either, because it does take resources and time of somebody to set these sites up, to monitor the sites, to collect the data to see if you're doing what you intended to do, to analyze that data and make reports. And so all of that's going to cost somebody in order to get that type of work done. So as we look at the graphs that dispel those myths, here's one that looks at the number of active users in a social media platform about August 2015. And you see that Facebook worldwide has the largest number of users. And so it used to be there was a thought that maybe Facebook wasn't as popular as once thought, and that maybe Twitter was gaining. But you need to really look at the data and see where the users are and think about how you can target them. If most of your users are in Facebook, then you probably want to use a social media site that's there. Then there's another media type called QQ. That's in China, it's the equivalent of Facebook. That's what they use a lot there. And so I think there's some regulations about how Facebook can be used there, if at all. And so again, if you're looking at different types of social media, you need to think about what's popular in different countries. You may have to use a different media site in a different country depending on who you're trying to reach and what kind of app or website or media site is going to be the most popular for that country. So here's some others. WhatsApp, it's an application for your phone, allows you to send messages back and forth, communicate for free, but you can use that to get your messages out. Then there's some others here: Qzone, WeChat, Twitter, Skype, Google, so on. I would say that since this is over 2 years old, this graph has probably changed. I think you would see Twitter moved up, Instagram moved up, maybe some new apps that have come about since then that are more popular. So I went out and did just a little Google search to see what the most popular social networking sites are. And you can see in this graph down here what they are as of 2017. Get out of this. These are social networking sites, and so you can see Facebook is still the most popular now. We're a little larger than what we were in our previous graph. The previous graph had 1490, now we're at 2,000 million or 2 billion people almost. Then you see YouTube is next, then Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, which wasn't even mentioned on the previous slide. We got Vine, Ask.fm, Pinterest, Tumblr, Flickr, Google+, LinkedIn, which is way down here, VK, Classmates, and Meetup. And so some of those I've not heard of, and maybe you have. But again, you have to think about where your customers are going to be. Where might you find them? Where you could target them a little easier than just trying something like Facebook and hope that you might get some people that are just there. You also have to think about what type of business that you're doing. And so it might be you got business to consumer or B2C or business to business. And so again, depending on where you're at and what type of marketing you're doing, the social media site may have changed. Right? So for business to business, you don't see Facebook as number one. You see LinkedIn as number one, at least in 2015. So be careful what you're reading and the time frame, because things will change. Now, for testing purposes, you'll probably have to know this information. And if we move on, look at the social media by group. So we've got the highest use group is in the age group of 18 to 29. But then we move down to 30 to 49. So notice that this started capturing in 2006. So that was 11 years ago. So you can see that 11 years ago, that if you were 28, you're going to be 39 now. So you're going to move into this group. And so what you're seeing is that as you get older, as you're moving out, that these lines are converging. And I would say that, another 10, 15 years, that the groups might all be the same size. Depends on what the population does. But as the people get older, they're moving into the other groups. So you're targeting people. Don't just think that, oh, well, everybody is just young. It's not the case. They're moving into these other groups, and they're growing substantially. So here we have a graph that shows how marketers have seen or agree with how social media marketing has helped them improve their sales. So we can see they strongly agree, are down here more than 5 years, and they just agree. And so those are large numbers as it moves out. So you may not see results right away, but keeping at social media marketing and improving and getting better with your skills, that's going to help you achieve whatever your goals are for using social media marketing. So on this last slide here that kind of ties into all those myths that we're having is what are some benefits of using SMM? So I'm going to start referring to social media marketing as SMM. So you can see the main thing is increased exposure, more traffic. You're going to develop that relationship with your customers, and hopefully that's going to generate more sales. Right? But that may not be your ultimate goal, but eventually it'll lead to that. So SMM does have some benefits, and it is something that we want to talk about, something to get you exposed to of knowing what it is and how to use it. And so I'm going to pause there. When we come back, we will start with the history of SMM.